Welcome, CvCISO podcast listeners. Welcome to episode 28. We're excited that you're here. Jordan is here. He's my friend, and so is Meg, and I'm Evan. We're your hosts of the show, and today is Jordan's topic. Jordan, what do we got?
Welcome to my show.
Welcome to Jordan's show. You tune out, you die.
We are talking truth or myth?
Truth. Myth. Everything you say is a myth to me. I have my own truth.
I've got a fun little conversation to have where we're going to be bringing up certain statements about information security, cybersecurity, vCISO, or the CvCISO program. And we get to discuss if it's truth or myth.
Is this a truth or is it a myth?
We have to speak in an accent in order to do this one.
Meg, if you want to be heard, you will speak the way we speak and the way we tell you to speak. Do you understand?
I don't do.
Well, we should play the game and know.
I do.
Maybe you should go back to sleep.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding, Meg. Meg, you can speak. You can speak however you want to speak.
You'll never stop.
It's so good for you.
Do it, Meg.
It's even better when you
so
start in the gut.
Zone, and I don't even know how.
Just say it. Truth.
Truth.
What?
No
It's
good.
like guttural.
No good. You failed.
You guys feel up to this? You think
Yes.
you? I mean, and there's not necessarily a right answer. It's not like I'm going to say, sorry, you're wrong. It's not a truth.
Well, it has to be if it's truth or myth.
It's your
Come on, my
truth is relative.
literal brain can't handle like truth or myth, but there's like some ambiguity.
I'm just saying there might be different perspectives. Some of these statements aren't going to be so black and white. They might be more philosophical in nature.
Well, here's the key.
Gotcha.
It is about perspective, and if you can defend your perspective, then it becomes your truth. My truth may not be the same as your truth, but if we can both defend why we believe what we believe, so be it. So that's in my opinion.
There can actually be two truths.
I think so. I think in some things, because it's multiple perspectives. I think when you're looking for that sole truth on something, you have to marry the two perspectives up and agree on a conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
That's harder to do. I mean, just look at the U.S. politics, which we talked about before.
Yes.
Kind of reminds me of our radical acceptance conversation.
I accept you radically.
I think you're
It
rad.
takes radical acceptance to accept me.
Yes. I also accept Jordan radically.
You should
It's
not.
easier to accept people radically when you're radical.
Yes.
True.
Oh, we just
Remember
did
the
our first
movie
truth.
Rad?
Winning. You said true.
All right, here we go.
All right,
okay.
what's our
This
first
one
one?
will be, you'll see why this one will be a good one to start with, I think, because
I'm going to moisturize my hands while we're playing.
please do.
All right. Thanks for letting us know.
I'm going to take a 5-minute break while we watch you moisturize.
If you
Hands.
didn't tell us
What?
that,
It's
and
this
all of a sudden
tattoo.
he started doing
See the
weird things
tattoo?
with his hands.
And
See the
please hold it.
tattoo? It's dry right
Yeah.
there.
Please moisturize close to the mic so we can hear it.
No, don't do that.
All right, moisturize.
It's not really something to hear. I mean, it's just a little bit. I mean, I like using the whole thing.
Like you guys squeeze it out, and then.
Oh my gosh. What have I gotten myself into?
All right, for those of you that stuck around, a myth. Number one, cybersecurity is too expensive. True? Or myth?
Well, there's definitely truth to that, but
If you're doing
Also,
it
you're
wrong,
saying that there might not be a solid answer.
I think.
It could be perspective based.
Well, I think it's not only perspective based, but it's context is really important. So I think in most of the security programs that I've witnessed over the years, that would be a true statement. But the reason why it's a true statement is because you've been doing it wrong. I think if you're doing it right, what you said is an absolute myth, because these are life skills, right? This is risk management. And saying that risk management is a myth, okay, I mean, it doesn't make any logical sense.
Right. I mean, I think a lot of things are too expensive. Like in some ways, when I'm thinking about like a small business trying to just run a business, there are, from that perspective, there are a lot of expenses to running a business that are like, really, God, I can't. Why is everything so expensive? Like, I just want to do my thing and sell my services, but I got to pay taxes. I've got to have insurance. I've got to do all these things that are necessary, And I think cybersecurity can fall into that where, like, to your point, that someone can come in and say, hey, you got to do this. Okay, well, how much is it? And it's like, God, I can't afford that.
Right.
But to your point, it's not like, why are they doing that? Like, if you're not doing it right, or if you're coming at it from, I have to spend this on this to do this, you're missing a lot of different options that maybe can fit into a risk management type budget, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the counter to that too is if somebody said that to me, cybersecurity is too expensive, I think a legitimate discussion would start with, well, how much are you spending on cybersecurity?
Great point.
Because I think you'll find that most people don't even know how much they're spending on cybersecurity. They don't have a dedicated cybersecurity budget. Well, how could you claim that on something you don't understand or you don't know? I think you have to start there. So, how much are you spending on information security, and what's it justified by? Why are you spending, so the first thing would be, well, how much are you spending? Maybe you are spending too much. Maybe it is too expensive for you. But I wouldn't know unless you, I think went further down the rabbit hole. Just to say it in general, it's probably true because there's just a lot of shitty security practitioners, I think, out there.
Right.
And a lot of people buying things they don't need.
And I think there are people in this industry that are trying to make it more affordable. I think, whenever, you think about like, cyber insurance, when that kind of blew up, then all of a sudden it's like people started offering that. And like, well, maybe that's not a good example. I'm thinking of like, there are people, when you talk about money grab, Evan, like there's a lot of people that when something new comes to the market, it's a money grab, and they're like, oh, we can sell this for whatever we want. Ooh. So yeah, $1,000 for this service or whatever. But at some point people start saying, hey man, that's not sustainable for a lot of people. So how can we make these things where you're getting good services more affordable for people that need it to be, Yeah. Maybe if you're thinking about vendors, like, not, if that's a 4-letter word, for some people, but like you need a tool to do something. And
6.
There are people that are trying to make that affordable, right?
Vendor's a 6-letter word, Jordan.
I also think that when people, if that claim were made, cybersecurity is too expensive, to me, that would be a flag on we've got work to do in creating and building this culture around information security. Because a lot of times when people think, oh, we don't have budget for that, it's because they don't really understand, and they don't see the long-term benefit. So it's helping.
Well, the truth of the matter is people always have budget for things that they value.
Yep, prioritizing.
I mean, I always find budget for the next widget thing that I want bad enough. And the thing with information security is the reason why you don't have a budget is because maybe it doesn't have value to you. But a few people are willing to admit that, because who's going to say, like, security is not important for us? Because that's stupid. But if it was important for you, wouldn't you figure out how much you're spending on it? And then you could make the claim. Because to justify if you are spending too much on, if cybersecurity is too expensive for you, would mean that you're probably spending money on risks that aren't significant enough for you. You never actually went through the exercise of understanding what's acceptable here and what's not acceptable here. So I think it's a moot point in most cases.
And I think it factors into the, understanding your choices that you have with risk.
Mm-hmm.
You can always choose to avoid it. And you don't have to spend that money on that mitigating control. If it's too expensive, you can just say, it's too expensive to mitigate that. I guess I'll avoid that direction.
Yeah. I mean, especially like you said, you're running your business. It's a small business. So the things, if budget and money are that important to me, the expenses, then it would be really logical for us to take an inventory of all the things that we're doing and just evaluate, are these things driving my business forward? Are these things providing value to my business, or are they not? And the cool thing and where you can marry that same logic with information security is the more stuff we have, the more stuff I need to protect. Right? And so the more stuff we have, the more risk there's probably going to be, in this environment. So if we go through the exercise of just finding all the stuff that really matters in our business and things that don't, and let's say you got rid of 20 applications, you got rid of 3 systems, you got rid of a bunch of stuff that you're not paying for. Not only you just did better cybersecurity, but you made money. You didn't spend any money on.
Right.
So a lot of it's the approach too, because, getting rid of, making the attack surface smaller, making the business more efficient has tons of risk management, information security risk management benefits to it. And that's just an example of where you could do it right and say, well, it didn't cost you anything, so how could it be too expensive?
Great point. So we're at the crossroads here. Evan,
There's a
truth
crossroads.
or myth?
I would call it truth.
It's too expensive?
What's too expensive?
Cybersecurity?
I would go myth. I think it's a myth.
I will go truth in your environment, myth if you do it right.
So it depends.
It depends. It depends on how stupid you is.
All right, next. About this one. All vCISOs should be on the executive team.
Well, okay, so being on the team, I think, what we teach in the course is we teach that you've got to have a seat at the table. So whether or not that's being on the team, I don't know. But if you don't have a seat at the table, then, it's going to be hard to get things done.
Well stated, Meg. I say it's a myth. There's no seat at the table on an executive team for a vCISO. I mean, we consult the business to make good information security risk decisions. That doesn't mean I need to be an executive. I need to have a place. And the seat at the table means you need to hear what I'm saying. You need to value why you have me here at the executive team, at the board. But that doesn't mean I need to be a board member. It doesn't mean I need to be on your executive team. And I think if anything, that would probably cause more problem in an organization, more confusion about why there's an outsider on the executive team. So I would say me.
Great point. And the key understanding for the vCISO is that if you want to have influence, if you want your consulting to have influence to the people it needs to, impact or affect or who make the decisions, then you have to find a way to present yourself that you're at that table, like you said. Yeah, being on the team, maybe not, but if you're just meeting with this end, then they're going to the table to try to talk cybersecurity and risk management. That passing it on to them, it might not have as big of an impact, right?
Yeah, and when you get far enough along in your vCISO practice, because I realize that you have to be in a certain spot to do these things. I would not work for an organization unless I had a line of communication to the CEO. That was, if you wanted to hire Evan, you can hire other teams, so that's fine. And the reason was because I didn't want to be hamstrung. If my job is to consult the business to make these good information security risk decisions and I'm unable to do so, why are you wasting your time or money on me? I'm expensive. And so going back to the first thing, yes, you're wasting your money on me. You're not getting the most value out of what I bring to the table. So, but I understand that vCISOs, when you're starting out your practice, you're a little more open to the business. I mean, you need to get business to survive. But I think I would love to see that be a requirement, that if the vCISO doesn't have a line of communication to the CEO and or board of directors, you shouldn't hire them. And why? Because why would you say no? Is it because you don't think they're credible? Is it because you don't think they're trustworthy? Well, then why are you hiring them in the first place? You know what I mean? It's understanding the whole purpose of why the vCISO is there. If you understood it and they had built credibility and trust with you, you would have no problem with them talking directly to the CEO.
And so you're saying that I mean, this ought to be in writing, agreed upon ahead of time. If you're presenting your vCISO services to someone, like that ought to be a a requirement.
I would love to
upon
see
ahead of
that.
time.
It was never in writing, for me. It was just agreements, verbal, mostly emails, maybe. But yeah, I think it would be awesome to see that be contractual.
What would you say, like, because when you're engaging with a potential client as a vCISO, and let's say you kind of have that in writing, or you make that clear, at that point maybe you haven't had enough time to develop a relationship with them and build enough trust. Can you think of any like bullet points that when they say, well, why would you need that? Like, what would be kind of your few bullet points where it's like, well, I need that because of this, this, and this to kind of.
Yeah, the reason why we need that is, we need to be integrated with the business. It ties into everything else, right? It ties into, are we spending too much money on cybersecurity? That's a discussion, and the perspective of the CEO, I think, is super important on that. The one who's ultimately responsible for day-to-day information security within the organization isn't the vCISO, it's not the CIO, it's the CEO. And so they may not feel it, they may not know that, but that's the truth, right? So I think to enable the best alignment, to ensure that our budget is actually justified, to give the business the assurance that these risks are well accounted for. It's just like any other risk, right? Financial risk, reputational risk, compliance risk. The CEO has their ears on those things, right? The CFO, they get financial reports all the time. If there's legal things, you've got legal representation that has that direct communication with the CEO and the board. So it's just another risk. But I think in order for them to run their business in today's environment as efficiently and securely as possible, that's the only place it can be. And it's not, and you also have to reassure them, like, it's not, I don't need weekly 1-hour meetings. I need to usually agree upon what types of communication we're going to do on a regular basis. So 15-minute briefings once a week. You like reports, and this is what you like in the reports. You like it structured this way. It's easier for you to read, so you can just get a quick snapshot once a week. Whatever it is, I just want to make sure that I'm getting the point across to you in a way that is easily for you to understand, doesn't get in the way of the rest of the stuff you need to do. Do it.
Great point. So truth or myth?
It's a myth for me. That's kind of the Mexican one now. I started German, now I'm kind of Mexican. It's a myth for me, Senor Shore.
And Meg?
Well, I mean, I think we are saying the same thing without saying the same thing. So,
yeah,
I agree.
That's the awesome thing about perspectives.
Yeah,
you can say the same thing without saying different,
the same thing, and then bring it together and actually realize that I've gotten the biggest, most like passionate arguments I've ever had in my career have been ones where we've both been arguing the same thing. I love
you finally
those.
realize it and like, wait a second. So we're saying the same thing. All right. Thanks for your time. Although sometimes if I want an argument to end, I might just say, oh, we're basically saying the same thing. See you later.
Yeah, if it's an inconsequential argument, yeah, I agree. If it's an inconsequential argument, I'll just say something so random, like, look at the peanuts over there on the floor. I'm going to eat those with my feet. Just something, and they're like, what the hell are you saying? I'm like, I forgot. What were we talking about again? They're like, forget about it.
Okay, never mind. All right, next. Let's see. Let's move into this area. I need to be an aspiring vCISO to take the CvCISO course. Truth or myth? You choose.
Myth.
It is a myth.
It is a myth.
It is totally a myth.
It is a myth.
Well, and
are you proud of me?
Yeah, I am proud of you, Meg. I was proud of you before you got here. And the reason, I mean, honestly, it's a myth because the purpose is for anybody who wants to learn more about information security leadership. We have lots of people who have been in the course that are they're aspiring CISOs, not vCISOs. They're just security people. They're just getting into security. There's lots of reasons, I think, to the primary purpose, it would be to build you into a vCISO and then support you in that role. But that's not the sole purpose.
Yeah. And we get a lot of people that like in my previous job, I was a security analyst. I wasn't a vCISO. I wasn't trying to be a CISO for sure. I was so new in the industry. But I had some internal responsibilities within the organizations. And we get a lot of people like that where they're not a vCISO, they're not a CISO, but they have responsibilities within the organization that makes sense for them to go through the program.
Yeah.
That's how I mean,
and you were the first ever vCISO, CvCISO, by the way. BT dubs. That's how we say it in my generation.
I agree. I agree that it's a myth. I think that there are...
I'm sorry, Jordan. What did you say it was?
A myth.
Thank you.
Me. But I think that there are pieces of it that are probably not as relevant to you if you're not wanting to be a vCISO. There's good stuff when you're talking about how to package it and deliver it and stuff that if you're not trying to be a vCISO, maybe that. But I also feel like there are people that probably take the course and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I kind of like the sound of being a vCISO. Maybe I will. They didn't go in there thinking that, but you start seeing opportunities that maybe might be nice.
Yeah. I think the industry could probably use another, 150,000 to 1 million vCISOs. That's probably what the market could.
That sounds like something we would call an opportunity.
It is. It's a big opportunity.
So along that same line, so myth. Okay, so myth. Okay, myth. Don't myth this.
I ain't gonna myth this.
That just happens way too naturally.
Mm-hmm. All right, I can't go down that path. I've got to.
You want to, don't you?
Throw it that way. All right. Okay, next. I'm leading this. Talk. Okay.
This is yours, yeah.
Okay. So that was a myth, and now let's go into this. Being a vCISO is fun and exciting.
Being a vCISO is fun and exciting.
Truth or myth?
It's a truth. It's a truth. If you are fun and exciting, what you do will be fun or exciting. If you're a boring bump in the log, no job good for you.
Good point.
Thank you.
Good point. I had a QBR yesterday with one of our clients, and I brought one of our younger guys. He's trying to learn, like the account management stuff, and it was one of our clients that is super fun, just excited about life, makes you smile. And as we left there, the guys said, "Man, I wish all of our clients were like that. Like, it's just so fun. This would be super fun." And we kind of got talking that, like, be that. Not everyone's going to be that, but you can bring that. If you bring it, number one, it's contagious. That type of attitude can be contagious. You start having fun, suddenly you bring fun out of people. But even if they're not feeling it, at least it was fun for you,
Yeah, and that's one of our principles. It's always been one of my principles. It's actually the third principle. The first is that business is in business to make money. The second one is information security is a business issue. The third is information security is fun. It's a principle. People like to do what's fun. And when you go to a FR Secure's, website, on the careers page on the top, it says, we believe information security is fun. We work hard, and play hard. It doesn't mean everything is fun, but enjoy it. You can take things you can be super serious, super awesome at what you do, and have fun while you do it. And the fun that you're having is contagious to the people that are around you. It's contagious to your customers. Most people, I think when you approach information security, they're like, oh God, what do I have to do now? Why not? Heck yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it right, and have it makes all the difference. And I think we have a lot of customer loyalty because of that. So I would emphasize for anybody who's in vCISO work or anybody who's in any work, look for the fun in it. And if you can't find the fun in it, maybe you're not in the right spot. Maybe this isn't what you were called to do. I mean, that's truth right there.
True. That's a great point.
Why dread your life, man? You spend too much time working. Have fun doing it.
Do you guys hear the noise behind me, or is it canceled out? Okay. My sprinklers are getting blown out right now, and
I thought it was maybe some flatulence, but you think it's this? You think it's that?
Meg, truth
Yeah.
or myth?
That it should be fun. I agree. It should be fun.
Ooh, so you changed the word. You changed the word from is to should be.
I mean, just from what I've seen, there's a lot of stress, a lot of, I don't know, maybe it's difficult for some people to make it fun.
Great point. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that into it because it should be fun.
Right.
But it's not always. And it can be very stressful.
Yeah. And even like the mental health stuff that comes along with, it's highly prevalent in the field. It's, I think that can there's a lot of stress factors that maybe keep it from being fun.
Yeah.
Or perceived as fun.
And I think probably in those moments, so like there are things, and maybe there's other factors that cause that. You're working with a client that maybe, they're making it stressful on you because of how they approach some of the things, or there's other things going on in your personal life that are just amplifying every other thing that's, just feeling weighted down. I think that, some of the things that like helping people, I think helping people protect them, what's most important to them, and doing things that help people not get taken advantage of, like Evan always says, like that's something that I connect with as well, and that can be fun. When you're helping someone get better, that's fun. Can be. I mean, some of the tasks that go into it might be tedious and things, but connecting with someone on that level, I think it brings a lot of joy,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's a good
exciting.
point.
Of course, cybersecurity is. I mean, it can be when you see, oh man, they're here. This phishing attack just came through, and you kind of pull the thread to see what's going on, and you're realizing that you just prevented this creepy bad guy from, taking advantage of someone. Like that's exciting.
Yeah.
It can be.
Yeah, like anything. I mean, it's like life. It's not always fun. But overall, when you lump everything together, it's fun. I'm looking for opportunities to have fun. I'm looking for opportunities to lighten things. But there are definitely days where it's like, this bullshit, I don't want to do it anymore. Or burnout. Burnout is really prevalent in our industry. And some of that might be, there's lots of reasons, I think, but some of it might be you're not in balance. You put too much into it. You didn't take the right approach, maybe. Where you took it so seriously all the time and it didn't fit with who you were. I think a lot of times people feel when they have to act a part that they're not, when you're not being authentic, when you're not being genuine, when you're not just being you. I think there's lots of things that lead to people being burnt out and not having fun. So try, as much as you can, try to create an environment where you encourage authenticity, you encourage realness, you encourage, because even in like the shitty times when people are struggling, you can actually inject fun into that. You know what I mean? You can be positive, you can lift up, you can, so yeah, if you're dreading your job, if you feel like you're going to burn out, I mean, investigate that. Don't cut corners, figure it out. It's because it's affecting all parts of your life. I think, reset maybe and try to find the fun in it. Fun is good.
Advice. And yeah, and I apologize. I'm going to have to go pay this guy who just blew me. So he just blew my sprinklers. I got to go pay him. But here, I'll set up the next one and you guys can talk while I'm doing that.
Okay. This now gets the explicit tag.
Blowing my sprinklers. You can outsource all cybersecurity responsibilities. True? Oh, myth. Talk amongst yourselves while I go pay this guy.
Okay, sounds good.
You can outsource all cybersecurity.
All right, Meg, can you outsource all cybersecurity responsibility?
Well, I guess you could, but I don't know that anybody would, right?
Yeah.
Like although maybe you couldn't, maybe that isn't even a realistic thing that you could do.
I don't, it's a myth. Sorry. Yeah. Because ultimate responsibility for your information security is on you. It's not my job. You can delegate parts of things. You can delegate tasks. You can delegate projects. You can, outsource things with agreements, but you can't outsource the ultimate responsibility. It's your company.
Yeah.
You're responsible for it because you may have arranged for the wrong contracts to the wrong people. It's still your responsibility. So you can never shirk that. It's always going to be with you.
Yeah.
It's like my house, right? Think of information security in my house or safety. That's easy, maybe an easier one. The safety of everything in my house is ultimately my responsibility.
Right.
I can outsource, I can get security guards, I can get armed guards, I can get all these things, but still the safety of my child is on me.
Yeah.
So I think it's a myth.
I agree. I agree.
All right. Well, and Jordan's still not here.
He's still not here. So now what do we do?
He's still. Holy crap! Look at how fast that guy was, like a flash. So we both agreed, Jordan, that was a myth.
Myth. I bet you that was a great conversation. Can't wait to watch the podcast back and hear what you get.
Find it. Right? We just talked a little bit about you.
Your craziness.
Yeah, we're planning an intervention. Actually, Meg's episode next week, and it's actually what we're going to do, just an intervention.
Yeah. Intervention for Jordan.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, he was. I didn't expect him to come until like 11:30, but he came early.
It's good stuff, man. Yeah.
All right, how much time we got left? Let's see. Should I do
we got as much time
one?
as you want. We got as much time as you want. Let's go through some more.
Myths. Okay.
Or truths.
All right. So myth: you can't outsource all cybersecurity responsibility. Of course not, man. You got to own that. Own that shit. Chat on it.
That's basically what Evan said.
Okay. Here we go. Here we go, smart guys and gals. Small businesses are not targets.
For what?
Absolute myth.
I mean, Target is not a small business. We all agree,
I think
right?
they're more and more of a target because of
for what?
how easy it is.
Good question. It would be target for actors.
Cyber attackers?
Cyber attackers. Is it a myth?
That's an absolute myth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm offended that you even brought that up. No, I'm not. I'm not actually offended.
I'm sorry,
it's
I
a
missed
myth.
the mark.
It's a myth. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you think that, it's a complete misunderstanding of I always preach it over and over and over again, situational awareness. And if you say that, all you're saying to me is you have no idea what situation you're in. You have no idea where you operate. You have no idea. It's like you don't even know what neighborhood you're in.
Yeah.
Or what your business does for a living, because the fact of the matter is you're connected on the internet. Most of your attackers are money motivated attackers for small businesses, and you got money. So you're absolutely a target, and you're an easy target because, when you look at it from a business perspective, it's return on investment. So return on investment is I want to spend as little time and money to get the greatest return. Well, if you're not taking security seriously and you don't think you're a target, you're probably a very easy target, which won't take me much time, and I'll get whatever return I want out of you, including put you out of business.
Absolutely. And the thing is like I just was meeting with a prospect just a few days ago, and he said this exact thing. He said basically, we're a small business and kind of hoping we're flying under the radar. I'm like, kind of hoping you're flying under the radar is your plan. But yeah, and
security through obscurity.
And he had a security in place was a firewall that his IT guy put in, and he's like, and I got to have the crunchy shell GUI center conversation. That you don't even understand how many little phrases, Evan, that I to this day will use from you that I don't even know if you use them much anymore. But they're all very good at describing what's going on. That's why you're very good at that. So I got to have that conversation.
Well, I love the fact that people that we're speaking the same language, right? And because at the end of the day, what we're really trying to do is really trying to help people do things right. And people remember catchy phrases, people remember analogies, people remember stories, and every person you're talking to is different, right? What's going to get across to them and what's not going to get across to them. So I love that. Hopefully, not only are you using them, but you're finding success with it. Customers are getting it. People are like, okay, I didn't think of it that way. because that's the whole point, right? Is that they get it. They need to do better.
Yeah.
I mean, and part of my point is that this is a myth that continues on. They're even in light, and he brought up the idea that, like, he's suffering breach fatigue still. He's like, none of this is even syncing with him, because he's like, man, people just get breached every day. I don't even know what the point is, anymore. And so all that stuff still exists, is in existence out there. And yeah, of course, small businesses are targets. I mean, they don't care. It's, how easy it is to just send phishing emails to everyone. Whoever clicks it, you're a target. Like, they're not just zeroing in on.
I also wonder how much I find myself feeling this way is, there's so many people that are getting breached, and there's so many times that information is leaked that you almost get desensitized to it, where, let's say, the Quick Trip one. Well, I'm a customer there, and they must have gotten my data, but I haven't noticed anything with it. So what's the big deal?
Well, that's the key. So the key is you haven't noticed anything. So there's value in that data, and a lot of that data hasn't been used against you yet, but it will. Otherwise, why would they exfiltrate it? Why would they keep it, right? There's value in it right now, and it's all back to the return on investment, right? So the more I know about my target, the more I can figure out how to get what I want from them. Okay. So today, you read about ransomware attacks. Well, that's generally the biggest return on investment right now, for most attackers. But what happens when we start getting our shit together on that, right? The same thing happens when we had payment credit cards, debit cards. Prior to chip and PIN, that was a huge, huge market, right? So you read about all those breaches. You read about the Target breach. You read about the Home Depot breach. You're on and on. TJ Maxx, whatever. That's what was the greatest return on the investment at that time. Because with that data, I could create my own credit cards just by writing it to any magnetic stripe, right? Well, then chip and PIN came. That made those attacks a little more expensive with a little less return. So your ROI on that. So that's when you saw a significant increase, because ransomware was always there. The first ransomware attack I saw was probably 93, 4 maybe. But you messed up the return on investment for the attackers on payment cards. So then they go to the next thing they have, which is ransomware. Right. So you saw that significant increase maybe 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe. And eventually time will get our crap together on that. And then what will be next? Right. So there's these continual next. And the reason why people have become desensitized is because you haven't felt any pain from it.
Yeah.
When you feel the pain from it, then you'll wonder, what the fuck did we do?
Yeah.
And by that time, it's not too late, because it's never too late. It's just, it's going to take a lot of time and money to put things back the way they were. Because, think about it. If I had, even from a nation state perspective, I mean, there's all kinds of creative things you could do with all the information that you've accumulated. You could take out loans on 1,000 people, 2,000 people, whatever number is a large number of people, take out loans on their behalf and then not pay them. You could create some pretty significant ripple effects in the financial system if you did that correctly. I think there's lots of impersonation things that you could do that could be pretty creative. That data is going to be used. Don't fool yourself into thinking it's not. And that's why you've become desensitized. There's no pain in it.
Right.
So why the hell do I care?
One thing that I we've seen a lot of, like, if you're a small business, I mean, forget about small businesses for a second. I mean, like, any individual, even if you think you're under the radar and you're I guess a lot of our listeners are probably like CISOs and stuff, so this is maybe they get it, but you think you're on the radar, and maybe you think I don't have anything they want, but I've seen time and time again where they compromise an email account, and then they I mean, they just basically download the contact list and just start sending stuff. I mean, they're pivoting all the time. Like they don't care how small you are, because any small foothold they have can open them up to a huge world of other ways to get around things and get to someone else. And I think I think it's a myth that you don't have. If some people think they don't have something that's valuable that they're after, I mean, that's a myth in itself. But even just using you to pivot and get in the middle of something else or reach out to all your contacts. A number of times we've had people where immediately they get compromised and start sending out emails from that account, until you figure it out and shut it down,
Well, and how would you feel if you had a stranger living in your house? I mean, they're not disrupting anything. They're not raping your children. They're just there. They're in your bedroom. They're in your kitchen. They're in your living room. They're there, but they're not getting in the way of the TV. I don't hardly even notice.
Right.
Sometimes we bump into each other when I'm trying to get to the bathroom or something, but it's just a minor inconvenience. That's the same thing. You would feel very uncomfortable with that. Why would you feel uncomfortable with that? Well, because I don't know, privacy issues maybe, or why the hell are they here? Are they gonna use something against me? What are they gonna do? Are they just waiting for that moment to strike? I mean, there's all kinds of things. That's what's happening, right? They are in your house, and you may not care because it doesn't hurt right now, or you don't even notice that they're there, but they're there for a reason. And when that reason becomes known to you, you'll wish you would have been paying attention.
So we're thinking,
I don't want any strangers in my house.
You always have strangers in your house.
All right, maybe
it's actually it's a reverse social engineering exercise. I'm actually planting little things in them.
All right. Do we have time for one more?
Let's do one more.
One more.
Ooh, between these two. I think I'll do this one.
Let's do it.
Everything rises and falls on leadership.
Everything rises and falls on leadership.
Truth or myth?
I'm going with truth on that one. I think it starts at the top, period.
Yeah, I think that's true. Everything. I don't like the rises part as much. I think the falls part for sure. But I don't understand that perspective very much. You know what I mean? You look at FR Secure. I'm not needed there. They're just awesome. They are everything. They just do great shit. And
right,
building the same.
Because you built up leaders around you.
Yeah,
so
and that's what people
rising and falling on leadership.
Yeah, and that's what people say. But and I think to myself, like, I'm not that skilled though. There's I don't know how these people even got here. But that goes, I guess, to the faith thing, believing that that there's a purpose behind everything, and which just solidifies the faith. So yeah, I think it's truth.
Yeah, I think that is truth as well. I think that, but there's more perspective and more like things around that I think we could get into, because I think that if we're talking about like one person, you immediately kind of start thinking, well, what about me? I'm not necessarily, perfect all the time or whatever. And I think that it's important for all people to understand the leadership that's inside of them, the leadership that they're meant to do, whether it's their family or you always have someone that you're leading, someone's watching you, someone's wondering, how they can follow someone else to better themselves and stuff. But it requires a team. I guess that's the point I'm trying to get to, is that like every leader is going to have failures. Every leader is going to have moments in their life that they regret or opportunities missed, but I think great leaders surround themselves with other great leaders that kind of pick up the slack, and you don't feel the failures of one person as much.
Yeah. I think good leaders are, well, I mean, it has to start with why. It has to start with why. Like, why are you here? And so I think a leader with a purpose, a mission, is critical, I think, to good leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just provides that consistency and that bearing, that compass always for the leader themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing about a leader, two things I've learned. Well, I've learned lots of things, mostly the hard way or from other wise people. One is the wind always blows the strongest to the top of the mountain. So if you're leading right, that's how you know you're leading right. You're getting your ass kicked. That should be like not justification. Yeah, I guess reinforcement that you're probably doing things right. Another one is it's lonely at the top of the mountain. There's nobody else that sees things the way you see things, which is also good because, you share your perspective. You don't assume that other people know what you're seeing. So, it drives home that part. Good leaders are always looking for their replacements, but it all starts with the why. If you're leading from, I just want to make as much money as possible, as quickly as possible, well, that's one reason to lead. And you would expect that kind of culture to follow. Whereas, if you're leading for, to fix a broken industry, that's what you would expect there, because that's what's going to attract your next group of leaders. They have to be bought in on that. I look at FR Secure and Oscar Minks. Oscar is so passionate about the mission.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, damn, that guy's good. I think good leaders, can put their ego aside and realize that the point of being a leader is to find people that are better than you and elevate them and get the hell out of the way. It's like it's like being a father a lot. I really want my kids to be better people than I was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, but you also, at the end of the day, the buck stops here. If anybody's going to be pissed off, I'm the guy. Even to the point of, and I've had people argue with me on this, well, it's not your responsibility to make sure there's toilet paper in the bathroom. I'm like, the hell it ain't. That is my job. Not directly, right? You have people in place and you have structures in place to make sure that doesn't happen. But if it doesn't happen, I'm the one to blame ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I love that one. Yeah, it's definitely true.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the things that's true about it too is the importance of investing in sharpening that skill. To be a good leader, you got to continually try to be a good leader, continually learn, things and take perspectives and invest in yourself.
And be humble. Be humble and acknowledge when things have gone awry or whatever role you played in that. Mm-hmm. Be open and honest. Humble.
Sure. Yeah, you have to surround yourself with people that are willing to tell you the truth.
Yep.
Not tell you what you want to hear all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's got to be a balance in that too, right? You can't always beat them up because that sucks.
Yeah.
I have one person, not to mention names, Kevin, but
the guy that you have to have around, but can be.
You need him. Oh my God, he's so valuable. But, there'll be times where I won't answer his phone calls for a while. And the reason I won't answer his phone calls is I can't take another piece of negative freaking information.
Yeah.
You do reach a limit where it's like, I can't take anymore. I'm checking out. But so love your leaders, your good ones. Stab your not good ones.
Well, not literally, but yeah.
I don't know. Depends on what part of the world you're in.
Well, thank you both for playing Truth
on me. I love it. Thank you, Jordan. That was good.
Jordan.
I enjoyed this. It was, for the listeners, we record these on Friday mornings, and I always appreciate it because it's a great way to end the week. It's a good mental health check for me to sit with a potential couple of people I really respect and enjoy spending time with. So I appreciate it. Hopefully the listeners, even if the listeners don't find any enjoyment out of this, we'll still keep doing the podcast because I don't want to miss out on this part.
Fun.
So why not?
Yep.
Audience of one, baby.
Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's a wrap. Next week it's you, Meg. Episode 29. Meg's going to come with something, I don't know.
Thrilling.
It's real. Ooh, okay. Wow.
No hint.
No hints or no hits? Hints?
No hints.
Hints. Will there be violence? Will there be violence, Meg?
Is that going to be violent?
Is that the Halloween episode? Are we dressing up?
Are we? What's today? Today's the 18th, so it'll be the 25th. Ooh,
Yeah, because the one after that is November
might be a
1st.
little spooky.
I am so gonna scare the shit out of you guys. I'm gonna do something. I don't know what, but it's gonna be great, and I'm gonna love it, and it's gonna be fun, and my friends are gonna think I'm stupid again.
I think we should come dressed as something.
Come dressed as a security guy who's old and tired. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really a costumey kind of person anyway.
It's so hard, and plus I get sweaty. It gets itchy after a while.
Yes.
Yeah,
Gross.
no costumes. All right. Good
All right.
episode, guys. Thank you. I love you guys. Have a great weekend.
Love you guys. Have a
Bye.
good day.